Welcome to the program. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking your time. We're talking bicycles. We're talking how can cities be more bicycle friendly? Because especially here in Berlin, wide streets, everything is built for cars. How do we change it?
The first step is going back to the future. Every city in Europe, and especially every German city, was incredibly bicycle friendly for about 70 years. This is nothing new. We're not reinventing, we're not inventing anything, we're reinventing something. German cities had the same standard of infrastructure that we have in Copenhagen. They had it for many, many, many decades. And you
like
all
bicycle lanes.
Yeah, Copenhagen standard, which we established in 1915. You guys copy-pasted it into almost every German city. It worked. We know what works. This is 100 years of design. All we're doing is putting it back into cities. And German cities now, of course, the automobile since the 1950s. Oh my God, the car is the future. You're still living with that. That's your big monkey on the back that you let engineers. The biggest problem really is traffic engineers in Germany. They have been designing for cars, and now you're asking them to design for bikes. They don't ride bikes. They don't give a damn about bikes. They don't know how to do it. So you're sending the wrong people to do the job. And this traffic engineering mentality, which is so dominant in Germany and America as well, this has got to stop. What you see in Copenhagen and what we see around the world is we're using urban planning, urban design, anthropology, sociology to design our streets instead of engineering them. So the potential is absolutely there, not just in Berlin, but every German city.
But what do we have to do to make a city? What are the low-hanging fruits?
The low-hanging fruits are that you have space, you just call them streets. The streets of our cities have been back and forth and changing for 7,000 years. So you have to prioritize. Do you want a car-centric city, or do you want to improve the health of your citizens, make a nicer city, right? You have to make the hard choice. You can't squeeze bicycles into German cities. You got to reduce the cars. You got to make it difficult to drive a car, and you have to make bicycle infrastructure. This is the key, and we know how to do it. And connect the bicycle with public transport. Like, it's not about ride a bike for the planet, man. It's about making the bicycle the fastest way from A to B. That's what Homo sapiens want in our psychology. Yeah. If you make the bicycle the quickest way for me to get out, from my apartment to work, I'm going to ride a bike, hop on a train.
But is it enough to just you have a street with 2 lanes, both for cars? Is it enough to take away 1 lane and make it a bicycle lane?
Yes, that's what we did in Copenhagen. 63% of the population ride a bike in Copenhagen because I don't like to say we took away the space. Secretly, I do. Yeah. But we reallocated it. It's democratic design. If you only design for bikes, and in Berlin, it's not even half of the people who own a car. It's like 40% or something. I can't remember the number. So you're designing. You're just smashing an entire city to please 40% of the population. What about all the people who don't have cars? You're not designing democratically, man. You have to take the space, reallocate it, make the space for bikes, separate it safely from the cars and the pedestrians, and that is where you go.
Why is it so hard, especially in Berlin? We have a law that says we have to devote more space to bicycles. Well, it really doesn't happen. Why?
You keep talking to the traffic engineers. Yeah. They're the main person at the table. Everybody else is like an uninvited guest when you're talking about traffic. You fire them. You get rid of them. If they make a bad infrastructure design for bikes, they should be fired and sent to another department. We know how to do it. It's copy-paste, right? Man, riding a bike in Berlin is like playing a video game. You turn the corner, you don't know what you're getting.
Zigzag lanes.
Yeah,
like that.
And you turn a corner, and what are they going to throw at me now? It's like it's insane that we, so close neighbors to you, have been doing this for so long, and you haven't learned.
And Copenhagen is one city. There are some other cities that did well in this area?
That's what's fascinating about being me and working with cities around the world. I'm designing infrastructure for bikes in Detroit, in Russian cities, French cities, all over the world, Mexico City. And cities are getting it. And for German cities, it's really getting embarrassing now that you're not doing it. Because when you have Oslo, hills and winter, Mexico City, a mega city, Seville, 45 degrees in the summer, they're all just putting in the infrastructure, and they're doing it, and German cities are still talking about it.
And what does it mean, designing? What do you need a designer for? If I just could say, well, we have 2 lanes, now 1 lane is bicycle.
True, but the traffic engineers have so much dominance in your culture here that they will argue until they're dead about, no, we cannot do that. Our mathematical models said we can't. Those models are from the 1950s. These people are still working with models that are out of date. Modern cities realize that we need to design our streets. I talk a lot about that. Yeah. We design our smartphones, our everything. This microphone is designed for me, the human. engineering is machines.
How does a well-designed street with bicycle lanes, how does it look like?
I mean, the best street in the world is where nobody gets killed or hurt on it, and they actually improve their quality of life by using it. You don't do that in cars. You do that by walking. You do that on bikes and combining that with public transport. We've lived in cities for 7,000 years. We know how to design streets for people, and we're not doing it anymore in many parts of the world.
And, I mean, so when the law, if it's so easy, why doesn't it happen then?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's your political situation in German cities. Good luck with that. I know how difficult it is. But when you see so many other cities doing it, like I said, it's getting awkward now, right? I mean, Germany is a leader in so many ways. You know, the way you subsidize solar power, and you do so many good things here. But like your cities, man, it's the opposite in many countries. Cities are way ahead. The national government lags behind. In Germany, it's really kind of the opposite. It's bizarre.
But the narrative is always about taking away cars from people. So they're supposed to suffer, and so. But can we spin the narrative around what's happening positively? So how does a city get better when you take away half of the cars?
Well, people stop dying. If that's important to your politicians, maybe there's a win for them, right? People stop dying. You don't feel unsafe, right? You got cars blowing past at 50 kilometers per hour. It's not a nice city. Look at Paris, man. You know, there's 85% of Paris is going to be a 30-kilometer-an-hour zone in 2 years. They have 20,000 bike share bikes. They're building the infrastructure. It's not about Copenhagen and Amsterdam anymore. It's about all these cities that are doing it. And if your politicians and your traffic engineers aren't doing it, they have blood on their hands. Very, very
And
simply.
how do you overcome those obstacles? I mean, if you advise cities, what are the strategies to overcome those arguments from the traffic engineers?
I mean, the cities that I work with, and I only work with cities that actually want change. I don't work with cities that are going to be like dragging their heels. It's so boring. I'm a 12-year-old boy. I'm impatient. I want change now. So I only work with cities who actually will do stuff. I mean, you just do it. The cities that I am inspired by are the ones that are going from nothing to everything in a very short amount of time. They're the ones where they have politicians who get it, who went on a study trip to Copenhagen, who understand that saving lives, improving urban lives is important. And you just do it, and you know the designs are there. 100 years of planning. There's no more talking.
And what is the most bicycle-friendly city you know of?
Copenhagen.
Yeah.
My company that I founded, we do the Copenhagenize Index, where we rank 136 cities around the world for bicycle friendliness.
Yeah.
And it's Copenhagen and Amsterdam and Utrecht. But then it's all the other cities that are just, it's like a football league, man. You know,
are
they're
there
moving.
any German cities?
Yeah, they're actually
Münster?
globally. Yeah, Berlin, Hamburg, and Munich are in the top 20 in the world. That's only because the competition is still building up in the rest of the world.
Okay, but what are those parameters that you count?
There are 14 different parameters. Everything from what's the infrastructure, how many kilometers of infrastructure, is it well designed based on best practice, what's the gender split? If you have a lot of women riding a bike in a city, that you're doing something well.
Why? Because?
I mean, women are more risk averse. They're not, men will go out and just do crazy stuff, but women are more risk averse. So in Copenhagen and Amsterdam, you have like 55% of everybody cycling are women. That is a win. That means we're doing something right. The number of cargo bikes in a city, the increase in modal share measured over the past 5 years. Is your cycling increasing? It's all of these kind of factors.
And apart from infrastructure, how can a city or a local government support bicycle friendliness apart from building bicycle lanes?
So the
subsidizing cargo bikes, electrical cargo bikes.
Subsidizing cargo bikes. A lot of people are doing that now around the world, but it's all about the infrastructure. It doesn't matter how many you give away everybody a bike in Berlin. You can give everybody a free bike. Doesn't mean shit unless you're actually building the infrastructure. So it is Copenhagen, the city of Copenhagen. They never communicate cycling. They don't have big campaigns. Ride a bike and save the planet, man. They just build the infrastructure, and people in the city they're going that is the fastest way from A to B. That's why we cycle in Copenhagen. Cycling is the fastest way from A to B. And that's all we want. It's traffic psychology.
And how do you integrate bicycles with public transport? What are the key factors there?
You make it easy for me to get into a station with my bike. The goal in Copenhagen is that the bicycle is your first default. I have to go there today. I can totally do that by bike, even though I have to go on a bus or a train or whatever. So You have the trains going into Copenhagen in the morning. You have like 60 bikes parked on on the trains. We made space for it. We reallocated the democratic space on the trains, on the streets. If you want it, somebody's doing it. You don't have to think about it. You can just copy paste, man. It's open source. Copy paste, Control C, Control V, and Berlin could be Copenhagen in 5 years if you put the money into the infrastructure. It's the best business model in the history of transportation, cycling. It really is. You could do it. Other cities are doing it, so get in the game, Germany. Jesus.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you much for your enthusiasm. You can watch the video at dctp.tv or on YouTube. Thanks very much for watching.